welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, mate? Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good. FA Cup weekend, and has there been any upsets? I wouldn't say so. Manchester City cruised past Plymouth. Aston Villa beats Cardiff. Crystal Palace beat Millwall, although it was via a kung fu kick, which made Harold Schumacher's foul on Patrick Battiston look tame in comparison. That was pretty brutal. Did you see that one, Steve?
Yeah. Well, I've seen it afterwards, obviously. So
yeah.
And it was nasty, mate. It was nasty.
The man at the forefront of that, Michael Oliver. All the rest of the game seemed to have gone to plan as well. Manchester United have been knocked out by Fulham. Not really a surprise there. And other than that, it's probably business as usual there. We're going to be looking at the influx of injuries on players this season. We've seen quite a few players go for surgery and be out for longer than 30 days. Apparently it's doubled since last season at this stage. So we're going to be looking into that. And of course, the transfer news, the transfer latest. We've got Steve Cowan, so why would we not be talking about the latest transfer news and rumours going around as well? So get into the comments section if you've got any questions about any rumours. If you want us to dispel those rumours or tell you whether there's anything in it, get those questions in and we will answer them before the end of the show. Steve, firstly, on the FA Cup, Crystal Palace versus Millwall. Or is it Liam Roberts? Come out absolutely flying out, foot head height, and take out Jean-Philippe Mateta, who had to be unfortunately rushed to hospital. But the ref, Michael Oliver, didn't deem it as a red card offence. What? Before anyone wants to get on their what do you think he saw? Like, was there anything in there where you think maybe he didn't see the foot go to the head? Like, I mean, it was a high foot. It was like 6'4". And to stud him in the side of the temple, serious dangerous foul play or serious dangerous play, reckless.
I don't know what he was. Only he knows what he was looking at, mate. And you say you don't want it to be a witch hunt, but it's just, we say he's Michael Oliver's, apparently our best referee. I mean, that's got to be. I'm sure someone said at some point, way back when, Michael Oliver is probably our best referee. It's been like Chinese whispers since then, and then sort of everybody saying, Michael Oliver's our best one. And he so ain't. His record just speaks for itself, and the errors that he's made. He's probably one of our worst. But look, I mean, you've already mentioned it's like going back to the days of the Harold Schumacher ones, and in Germany when he took out whoever it was his bats. I mean, it was literally sort of mirrored that. And can we look at it? And I mean, look. Only we know what was in Liam Roberts' head. You, as a goalkeeper, might be able to, answer it a little bit more clearly than that. Whether sometimes when a goalkeeper comes out and when they're going for something that, sometimes they mistime it or whatever. But it looks awful. And just thank God that Mateta's up. He's okay, but he's had to have 25 stitches and. Just awful tackle. And, he deemed it as not a red card. And how did he not deem it as a red card?
Crazy.
Apparently, according to him, Miles Lewis Skelly one was worse than that.
Yeah.
So, and look, we might say, he was blinded, he couldn't see it. But, we do question steals sometimes. But looking at the steal, which is really all I can really go on from where Oliver was at the time. He looks like he's got a perfect view. He's not far away from it, and he's looking at it head on. And it was an awful tackle, mate. Just thank God he's all right. Thank God he's all right. And Yeah, but he's. I bet he had a headache afterwards. And look, we can't condone the things afterwards. Liam Roberts is getting abused and all that. That's. But as I say, only he'll know whether what he was doing. I assume if we say that footballers don't go out there to hurt players. Unless you're Roy Keane, maybe. Maybe isn't it an exception because he actually come out and said that he did go out there. Yeah. So, but apart from that, just thank God he's all right, mate. What Oliver was thinking, I don't know. From the goalkeeper's point of view, was it an accident? Did he mean to hurt him? Personally, I hate to think that he did mean to do something. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he was just.
Yeah, we've all played football at Sunday.
Overzealous, should we say?
Yeah, and we've all gone into hefty tackles before and wanted to let people know that you're about, that type of thing. But never have I, or I would assume anybody else, gone out to really maim and hurt someone, and that. Mm-hmm. That was dangerous. That could have mean anything. That could have killed him. So just thank God he's all right.
100%. And we saw Manchester United go out to Fulham and put more misery on Ruben Amorim at the moment. Is he a guy that needs to worry about his position right now? I know that a couple of Man United fans did say it was slightly better. There was slightly some more encouraging signs, but still not brilliant at all.
I think that's what I've said on this show a lot. I've said when I've said to Garth, I've said it's easy for me to say, but you have got to look at those small little things because they're way off. Mm. They way off, and you've got to take. I don't blame United fans for trying to find little bits here and there, to grab on. Because I did, it's certainly what I did. Under Mikel Arteta in those days when we was finishing 8th and 8th, and. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure Man United would love to be 8th at the moment, wouldn't they? And they had a miles better team now than what we had, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe now it just seems to be getting worse instead of better. But, it's the only thing is with Amorim, when he first came, I was like, I can see improvement. I can see what he's doing. Mm. But it's like, do you know when... It's like when if you're part of a jury in a court case, and the defence reads out, their version of events, and you're like, this geezer's innocent. He could be right. He and you all agree that this guy's he's okay. Yeah. And then the prosecutor comes in, and then he goes, well, hold on a minute. And then you sort of after maybe 2-3 days after the prosecutor's put his case down, then you're like, hold on a minute, I might have to change my. But it's and it's all of a sudden from it being 11-1, now all of a sudden.
You know what? Yeah.
I'm going on a don't know and possibly.
You've been here a long time.
It could be a long time. But seriously, it's getting a little bit like that. There are doubts creeping in. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Whether I don't want to say if he's the right man because I've been quite straight with and kept to the same line of look, wait till he gets these players in, let's see what he can do. But he's making. He would even make the ardent of Amorim supporters, the ardent of people who are getting behind him, must be thinking, is he? But look, I mean, it wasn't great, as you say. It wasn't expected. Do you know what I mean?
We saw Chido Obi come on and get into three dangerous chances, which is three more this season than Højlund's made himself. I think there was a stat that came out that in that game that Chido Obi managed to create three dangerous chances, whereas Hoyland's created 3 dangerous chances over the 2 seasons, which is it shows you that although Hoyland isn't the main problem, he's not the answer.
No,
and they need something up there, which is probably a little something different, something a bit more unpredictable. And then when you've got the likes of Xerxes as well, I'm looking at that, I'm seeing a fragile player, good technique, good on the ball, but what else does he offer? Up front, nothing really. It's a little bit toothless. And then that's it. The game, feel for him, missed another penalty, but mate, you're at Man United.
Yeah,
Man United. Like, I don't want to be too harsh on him as well, but like he does seem to be struggling. When it's going good, it's all right. But when it's not, it seems to be something you can't handle. And this is a massive club, a massive club.
Yeah. As I say, I mean, it's a big problem. Them not scoring goals, and I don't know what Xerxes is.
Yeah, no,
I thought it was a weird signing when they bought him, because like we thought like to me he's just like another Hoyland.
Yeah.
And look, he looks like he's got a bit more about him than Hoyland has.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? He's a better footballer.
He's
by a long way.
But just
by a long way.
He's just. I don't know what position his best position is.
No. I mean, when people were sort of like putting, Fernandez down a bit, which is, when you look back on it now, is totally ridiculous. I mean, they need him. They need to wrap him up cotton wool. But at the time, when the people who were putting down and thought, oh, maybe he should be rested and all that, he's not doing it. Those that had that thing against Fernandez, then maybe have been a shout that you could have played him in that position, around in there somewhere. But he's not mobile, is he? He's not really mobile. He's just very good at holding up the ball, and he's technically very good.
Yeah, he is.
And he's basically a luxury player that most teams don't want as a luxury. And I don't know if that's putting him down or not, but I just don't know where he fits in. And it's difficult to work out what his best position is, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
And Hoyland certainly ain't the answer. And I mean, ideally, you don't want to put the young kid in there anyway. But like you said, Hoyland's not going to be there. There's no way that geezer's going to be playing for Man United in the future. No chance.
Yeah.
Right. Emery's already sort of put that geezer away. He's crossed him off. He's not going to be the guy unless unless he develops and he all of a sudden finds a certain player comes in around him and brings the best out of Hoyland. There's always that. There's always that possibility. But as it sits, as we look, he just doesn't look like that guy, more likely than not. So why not play the young kid? Why not give him a go? See what he can do. It's not like you're going to play Hoyland into the team because he's the guy that you want for the next couple of years, is it?
Yeah.
So you're in a right state as it is.
Yeah.
Play the kid.
And he's not doing anything. Like, Hoyland's not. It's not as if Hoyland's scored recently either, is it? It seems like it seems a little bit like he knows his time's up. Like he's not. I'm not seeing much out of him. Like what you get with Hoyland, you get someone who works hard. He's an honest player. Gets in around the box. If you can get the ball into the box for him, he can score. But they need more than that. They need more outside the box. They need more inside the box. They need to be a bit more. They just need a bit more of everything from Hoyland, and it's just not enough. And I think I agree. I don't want to put Chido Obi in that limelight because it just doesn't seem fair. So maybe it's a case of you're starting with a Xerxes or you're starting with. But I think Amorim probably is going to have to use him a little bit more. He's going to have to introduce him a little earlier than he wanted to because if long-term Hoyland's not your answer and he doesn't seem to be doing much now, then maybe it is just a time to give a kid a go while he's still raw and sort of nurturing that way.
I mean, they're not going to go down, are they? They're not going to go down.
No.
They're not going to get into Europe this year unless win the Europa League, and that's
win
that. Do you know what I mean? That's incredibly unlikely that they're going to win the Europa League. So you might as well, think that. Look, okay, we're not going to get relegated because there's 3 teams that are already relegated. They're gone already, right? Play players who you think that, or you want to see more of in the future.
Yeah.
So and the ones that you want to see more of are obviously your young kids, the ones that you've just, that you're hanging your hat on. The I'm assuming like Dorgu and Obi Martin, and with Fernandez and keep playing Lenny Euro and all. Play him every week. Play Euro. Play them.
He looked good as well. Lenny Euro looked good.
I heard he looked good. Yeah, I didn't see the game. I see the penalties. I didn't see the game, but from what I was hearing, Euro was good. So play him. I mean, most of them you can't see being there, can you?
No, you got Lindelof will go. Casemiro will go.
Yeah.
It looks like the likes of Maguire will probably stay, but if you've got someone who's for all that Maguire gets hate, I think you've got to give him the respect for holding out, sticking to his own, and then still losing the captaincy, still being there. Like I know people say it's money, but mate, you beat a player down enough that they can be an empty husk of a player. But Maguire still comes in. He makes his mistakes here and there, but he's still a player that is coming and done respect.
Maguire is a good player to play next to someone like Euro, because he's someone who probably could learn of. Do you know what I mean? In some respects, with and De Ligt as well. Do you know what I mean? Like De Ligt, Maguire, and Euro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Those 3 at the back, because you've got your young kid. Because you don't want you want your young kid playing with top experience, preferably international players. And whatever you think about Maguire, he is a top England international.
Yeah,
and whatever people think about De Ligt, you
Champions League semi-finalist.
Yeah, so he can, and if you play Lloris, he's your guy. Play those 3 and make them 3 your 3 to start with, and I don't think you can play Ugarte and Casemiro, but if you can play, I mean, Casemiro, obviously his legs are going.
Yeah. His legs are going, which is why you're seeing Fernandes drop a little bit deeper into that midfield.
But with Ugarte there, again, they're playing Mainu, obviously he's not fit. Ahmed, these are the players you would love to be using.
Yeah.
With your Chidi and the Obis and all that. Look, they'll lose games, they'll get beat, and for the rest of the season. But I think that's what they got to do.
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal had a situation where we didn't want to have to play Saka, but we didn't have any choice.
No.
When Emery left, we had no choice because we was looking around and there weren't much there. Saka appeared, Emil Smith-Rowe appeared, and they were the 2 that essentially saved our season for about 2 seasons. So sometimes you've
Martinelli, weren't it, as well?
Those players, although you don't want to have to force them into those positions, it is a saving grace. And you've got players who are playing for the shirt, playing with pride, have that hunger and ambition to be in those positions, and they're getting an opportunity earlier in their career than they expected. And those are the ones that usually try to take it with both hands. So, although I wouldn't say start Chido Obi week in, week out, I think he's a player that they need to start bringing in. It's someone who could actually do something, who could create something out of nothing.
And it might bring something out of Højlund, because we'll see what his character's like. Because if you're playing a kid who's, what is he, 17? Is he Chido? If you're saying, well, you're starting this week, Chido, let's see what your character's like then, Højlund. Because then you've got to show you on your training pitch that you and playing for 2 or 3 games, and then let's see what you like. We'll bring you back in, mate, here and there, and let's see how you perform then. When we're not satisfied as you, and we're having to play like a 17-year-old in front of you, then you'll see what he's like for. Then we'll see about your character. Because if that don't buck you up, it wouldn't buck anybody. It would, should sort of. Revitalise anybody, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I agree. Obviously, no upsets in the Manchester City versus Plymouth. The team that knocked out Liverpool, although it was an early scare for Manchester City as Plymouth took the lead. But overall, in the end, they came back. Kevin De Bruyne and Nico O'Reilly with 2 goals for Manchester City, for the youngster. We saw Newcastle go out. One thing I see at Newcastle, it very much looks a little bit like you see with a lot of those teams that get into that final, and they start to sort of, they don't want to quite go into that challenge. They don't want to quite go in that. They don't want to miss out on that final, and you're seeing a little bit of a dip in form from some of the players. And although they were able to get a win on the weekend, I watched that game, and that was very much the run of play. And although the commentator tried to make out that Newcastle had been the dominant team in that at points, because I think Isaac got a couple of goals, it was very much on the break where Newcastle got that game back, and they hit 2 goals or 3 goals very quickly in the end, and I think it flattered them a little bit.
I think Newcastle are one of these teams where you look at their team and they've got 3 or 4 really top, good players, but they've got a lot of mediocre, averagey ones. Do you know what I mean? And I think their league position tells you that. And I think it shows in the one-off games, like in cups. Look, fair play to them. They got to the final of the Carabao Cup, but I think that game against Brighton, I think, do you know what I mean? I wasn't that impressed with them, to be honest with you. I mean, Isaac again, another injury. I mean, how many times he's getting too.
Someone mentioned that I did a video on basically saying get over the fact that Arsenal aren't going to buy
150 million now.
Arsenal aren't going to buy Isaac, and then someone said, like, people need to start looking at his injury record. He's injury prone. So I looked up, and I didn't know whether the guy was talking about Sesko. So I looked up Sesko, and Sesko's had 3 injuries, and they all happened in 2021. And it was the same injury, and he hasn't had an injury since. He hasn't been off one day since. I looked at Isaac's, and it seems like he's got a bit of a groin problem. It keeps on recurring, and it has been recurring over a few seasons now. So that would be a big concern for me.
Yeah, Arsenal beyond that. Arsenal beyond that. But look, the FA Cup, mate. It was. I quite enjoyed the game between Newcastle and Brighton. I mean, Danny Welbeck, this guy.
That guy. He's that guy, isn't he?
He's that guy. Do you know what I mean? It's like Man United. Do you know what I mean? They didn't want to sell him, did they? When went to Arsenal, people were like up in arms. But why are we selling Welbeck to Arsenal? You mad or something? You're off your heads. And then because he was a perfect second striker for them. Do you know what I mean? He always scored goals. For England, he just never let them down. Was quite prolific, funny enough, for England. Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, no, he was.
He always scored. And Arsenal, I mean, I thought he was great for Arsenal.
Goals for Arsenal.
And the Brighton, this guy just goes under the radar. And a big up. He's had a fantastic career. Do you know what I mean? He's had a really good career, and I hope it just continues and continues and continues. But I must admit that the draw is a little bit underwhelming now when you look at the FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? There's not many big teams in it, is there? Apart from probably Man City now. Everybody's out, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good opportunity for some of these other teams. Like Manchester City have not been in great form this season, so I'm sure some of the other teams like Fulham, Brighton, who else is in there? Was it Bournemouth got through, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa? I'm sure all of these teams will be thinking this is an opportunity this year. You want to put a different name on that trophy. Manchester City have not been in great form and can be. They're there for the taking. If I'm honest, this would be the best season for any of those teams to try and knock Man City out of the cup. And Man City are known for some of those cup upsets as well.
I think they've got Bournemouth. They're way to Bournemouth for next game.
Is it Bournemouth they've got in the next round? Is it?
I may be wrong. It's just I got a funny feeling they drew Bournemouth.
Yes, Man City have got Bournemouth. Aston Villa have got Preston. Crystal Palace have got Fulham. And Brighton have got Nottingham Forest and Ipswich Town.
Yeah. There does seem to be a little bit of like with the FA Cup that it's not one. I mean, you must remember little kids as well. I hope I ain't making you older than what you are, mate, or anything. But yeah, the FA Cup was like I can remember it when the FA Cup was just as big as winning the league. Do you know what I mean? Winning the FA Cup was like
massive.
It was massive. It was like enormous. Do you know what I mean? It was like if you got knocked out the FA Cup, you just didn't go out for a month. It was that bad. it was like and the build up, if you was in it, just went on for months. You decorated. It just don't. I don't know. I mean, it don't feel the same to me anymore, unfortunately, and I'm gutted about that because I was like, I can remember when it was just. Do you know what I mean? It was massive. And even the League Cup, you had like, obviously, it wasn't like you win the league. There was the League Cup. But even the League Cup was like, it was big. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't get that. Whether it's to do with money now and I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's taken away a little bit of it, I don't know.
Would you add a different incentive to the FA Cup? Like, let's say, the FA Cup was like a Champions League spot or something like that, or something like that. Would you add anything onto that? Because what do you get if you get the FA Cup now? You get a European spot, don't you?
Yeah. Europa League, isn't it?
Europa League.
Yeah, because it used to be you get there's only one Europa League spot for the league, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's one for the FA Cup. I think so. I think that's how it works. So because it was Man United and Tottenham, wasn't it? Last year. So that's how it worked. I don't know, mate. I wish someone would come up with something.
Yeah.
Because
prize money.
Yeah, maybe bigger prize money. Yeah, I think as well. I think it's a lot to do with the money. I think it's a lot to do with the money. Managers like jobs are on the line. From what they do in the league. If you can get the sack with a click of your finger. We've seen managers get sacked after 6 months. You look at teams like Chelsea, Tottenham, Manchester United. If they're not doing it. Do you know what I mean? They're out, and Ten Hag was a bit of an unusual one because, according to them, he stayed on because he won the FA Cup, which still baffles me to this day. How they, but 9 times out of 10, you're judged on what you do in the league, and there's so much money in that Premier League now, and so much pressure on players and managers and whatever. I don't know whether it's something. I wish they'd come up with something, mate, because there was nothing like the FA Cup back in the day. Nothing.
It was such a big
special.
Thing. And I think it's that the fairy tale story, the fact that the FA Cup is grassroots. It's where someone who lives next door to you could be in an FA Cup qualifying round, and then 3-4 months down the line, they're in an FA Cup against someone in League One and League Two. Do you know what I mean? It's where we've seen people who are playing for their non-league teams end up getting pro contracts because they've had good games against some bigger teams. Like it's where one game against a team in the Premier League or the Championship could save the club for the next 20 years and keep that running because it's been so big and things you can get off of that. So I will never dismiss the FA Cup. I think it's things like that which are the cornerstone of
I think something needs to be done though.
Those things.
I just think something needs to be done to sort of hype it up.
Yeah.
Whether it will, I don't think it will ever be like how it was because that was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? It was just, as I say, it was as big as winning the league when I can remember it being as big as winning the winning the trophy. Do you know what I mean? And you was as gutted as anything if you lost it. It was a terrible thing to do. Probably hurt more at times because it was that one particular special day. And But I think things like playing it at Wembley, the semi-finals is a wrong one. That I don't like that.
No, do I?
It was always something special. You played it at Villa Park or you played it at Ivory Hillsborough in them days. That was where it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope they can. And teams take it a little bit more seriously because I don't think they do.
Yeah, no, do I? Although I'd say this season we've seen the most amount of teams. We've not really seen any real upsets outside of the Liverpool one. We've seen most of the teams go through, especially in the last round when Championship teams played Premier League teams. It seems to have the gap seems to have widened a little bit more between those. So, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup this season with those teams left?
What's the draw again? What is the draw?
It is Bournemouth versus Manchester City. It was Bournemouth, Man City. Preston versus Aston Villa. Fulham versus Crystal Palace. And Brighton versus the winners of Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich.
Yeah. I fancy a Brighton or a Villa.
I think I fancy a Villa. I think I fancy Villa to win it.
Yeah, Emery picking
Emery's he's not really been the cup winner that he's known for, is he? So maybe this could be the first one that he wins in English football.
Yeah. But Nottingham Forest is a shout. Do you know what I mean? They could. Do you know what I mean? They could do something.
Definitely. We will see.
The more we've been talking about it, the more I've got more interested in it while we've been talking. So, hopefully I'll make a point of watching all the games because, I don't know, maybe like if you get a point deducted in the league if you get knocked out.
Oh God! I don't think you'd be saying that if I can get knocked out early.
Well, that's
out of the league by 1 point.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine AFTV then? You'd be going mad, wouldn't they? But
we don't want to be that.
Yeah.
All right. On injuries, you've been speaking about injuries. There's an article that come out in the Guardian, and academics and medics are working on a study, and they've on their study they have said that there's been an increase in hamstring injuries, and not just an increase in hamstring injuries alone. It's been an increase in the time that people spent on the sidelines after those hamstring injuries. This time last year, it was 26% at the same stage. However, there was, of the 100 injuries at this point, it was 51 from this year had led to 51 have been more than 30 days. So it's been an increase on that. And there's also been an increase on the amount of injuries that have led to surgeries as well. And we've seen an increase across Europe that has doubled the rate of hamstring injuries across Europe. So it's not just a Premier League thing. This is
across Europe. Yeah.
This is across Europe. It seems like, once again, what managers have been saying for the last few seasons is that players seem to be overplayed. They're playing too many games at a higher intensity. And because of that, we're seeing some really bad injuries. Bukayo Saka out surgery. Kai Havertz out with surgery. We've seen Nicholas Jackson, who's been out. Ben White's been out. And more players seem to be out for longer and having to go under the knife as well. For me, I can only see it getting worse, Steve, because it seems like we want to get more and more out of footballers. The common line that comes from people's mouths is they're on 350 grand a week. They should be able to handle it. What I would do for 350 grand a week, but a body's a body and it can only take so much.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's literally, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Just because you're earning a lot of money, it don't make you Steve Austin, does it? The $6 million man. So I don't know what that's got. So everything's like money, isn't it? Everything's to play.
It's always...
he missed that goal, he's on that man. He shouldn't score that. He should have missed that goal. He earned so and so much a week. What's that got to do with it? Do you know what I mean? They do come out of them, but yeah, mate, it is a problem. I mean, there's many sort of things you can say is partly to blame for it. The biggest one, I think, is you've already mentioned there. The fixture congestion. I mean, the schedules have been just like, for clubs, are just getting ridiculous now. Like you're talking about our own league. We've got the Premier League, got the Champions League, got the domestic cups, League Cup, FA Cups. They've got pre-seasons that they do now. They've got a Club World Cup at the end of the season. And because you've got this like so many different fixtures, and also, of course, we've got international games as well thrown in there, and obviously the turnaround is so quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now the turnaround between games, you're not warming down as much. Sometimes you used to have a game, and then you had like to the Wednesday, say to sort of do, sort of warm down, if you like, do your training in between, but make sure you're ready for the Wednesday or the first, and then for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But you're getting the ridiculous amount of international games these days. Every time, especially at the beginning of the season, where it seems to be every month. We're playing more international matches, and that leads to lack of recovery time, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then if you're having lack of recovery time, and because of the international breaks, midweek games, you've got the European games, it just goes on, and then you've got more likelihood of muscle injuries, and you mentioned like a load of people who are coming down with muscle injuries, left, right, and centre. I mean, ACL is type of muscle. Do you know what I mean? It's another muscle connected. The MCL, all these things are all muscle related, muscle connected. A lot of people are coming down with back things. Again, that's all connected. And it's making more players more injury prone, mate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. And I don't know. We can't blame pitch conditions now because the stadiums are so good, the grounds are so good, so we can't blame anything, about that. But another thing, which is, I don't know, it's a small thing. Like you could say, like with all these stops and starts during the game, during VAR, stop, start. There's so many stop and starts, and it's not this rolling round with the games going and going. It just seems to be, we're getting 10 minutes on at the end of the games now. It goes on, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And players are suffering for it. And something's got to be done.
Yeah, and I think in this study, they also said that one of the medics said that Nicholas Jackson needed treatment on his hamstring problem that he suffered in the first half of Chelsea's win against West Ham, but was not substituted until the 50th minute. And one of the challenges is they initially could feel that the injury doesn't feel as bad as what it does of what the scan actually is because of the way the tendon sits, which means that players can actually play on and cause more damage, which it's what they're seeing is the players actually, once they get that injury, they actually do need to go under the knife and have a treatment on that and undergo surgery, as opposed to allowing it to see out, allowing it to heal and be on the sidelines. It is something they need surgery on because this injury is pretty bad. And they're saying that generally the only way to fix it is to lighten the load of the players. Look, we're not going to see. We've seen the Champions League have 4 additional games if you don't get in that top 8 potentially. We're not going to see a reduction in games. The intensity of games is only going to be more. What would you do? Because there is something that needs to be done.
Oh, what would I do? I'd cut down the international games for a start. There's too many, mate. It's too many. It was ridiculous. It didn't. I think there was like 10 games have been played in the Premier League, and we'd had 3 international breaks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You're going from one certain set of training, one certain way of like a manager gets you to train to go to another. It might be more fast paced, more slow paced. All things like this. Yeah, I mean, I'd do that for a start, and I don't know. I mean, if you're getting really sort of like to a point where something serious, I mean, you can't not have pre-season games. Do you know what I mean? That's something that you never can really stop. I don't see what the point in this. What's the point in Club World Cups? I don't know what the point is in that. You know, where they just seem to want to bring things up for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's do a Club World Cup. I couldn't give a shit about Club World Cup. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people I talk to who are very, clued up in the game and have got sensible football minds like yourself and others that you'll talk to during the day, they couldn't give a shit about the Club World Cup. People will make it out like people care. No, nobody cares. Nobody wants their players going to play in more competitions, at the end of the season so I'd get rid of that. And I don't know, mate, maybe it's time to, get rid of the League Cup as well. I don't know, but that would be like a final straw thing. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to get rid of play these, I don't see what else. Do you know what I mean? I don't see why we should cut down teams in the league, things like that, when there's other things that, the everyday fan really is not that bothered about, which is maybe the League Cup, maybe the fact of like these Club World Cups, and nobody really gets too many internationals. Let them go and play players that have just I don't know that they want to. I don't know. It's hard, mate. It's hard.
Yeah. I've had this conversation with Garth recently, and one of the things I thought is potentially they could allow for slightly bigger squads and more substitutions, but those substitutions have to be players that have come through your youth ranks, like players that have come through, like they have to be under 21 and they have to have played in your youth ranks between how many years. And with that, you're allowed, it will sort of allow people to make more substitutions, allow people to bring in more players, but not necessarily benefit the teams who are able to go and spend bigger money. And it allows that sort of homegrown sort of thing to add that extra player on the bench, add that player into the extra player into the team.
Are you talking Premier League or are you talking like cups?
I'm talking Premier League. I'm talking Prem. Because then, if you think about it, it's extra players are allowed to be brought in, but they're only going to be players that have been within your squad. It's not players that are brought in. It's players that have come through your ranks. And essentially, it's teams pitting each other against their youth teams, their younger players. It's not, say, a Man City being able to bring in a player from Real Madrid. It's not Chelsea going out and buying the best talent. It's players that have come through your ranks. It's a bit more, I'd say it's a bit fairer as opposed to allowing people to have budgets to spend more money. Something needs to be done because, look, no one wants to see players go and have surgery. Arsenal themselves have had, 4 players this season have to go to surgery? Tomiyasu, Ben White, Saka,
Havertz.
At 5. And Gabriel Jesus as well.
Reece Nelson, if you count Reece Nelson.
Is he gone for surgery as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Surgery.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. The only thing about that is, I mean, you always want your best players playing for you, don't you? I mean, it's hard if you've got to. But as I say, it depends how many subs. There's no good way, is there? There's no good thing really to get round it. I don't know how they're going to get round it.
Look, I personally didn't. I'm not a fan of the additional the changes in the Champions League. And if it's putting additional pressure on players by having to play potentially 4 more intense games, there's no let-off in the group stage because every game has to be you're playing to your maximum. There's no, we've got Azerbaijan, whatever, at home. We've already won our first 3 games. Let's rotate the team a bit. You have to play your best team in every game up until the point where you're through. And we had to do it to that last game.
Yeah.
There's no let off.
And look, with the 8 teams that went through, they all think, oh wow, we have got a rest. Do you know what I mean? We can have a break. But you've got another, 24 teams that have got to go again.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of players who have got to play extra games.
Another load of intense games. We've seen Tottenham with a load of injuries as well.
Yeah. And even on that last day, mate. On that last day, I mean, look at the jeopardy on that last day.
Yeah.
Normally the last day is like a burnt rubber, isn't it?
It's a few teams are playing to get through to stay
in that last day. There was like every game nearly was like you had to do something.
Yeah, even our last game, it was like we felt like we were through. We were pretty much through.
Yeah.
But when we were 1-0 down, didn't we? Like that put us on the edge of the group, and it's like, no, we actually have to win. Like we've got to get an equaliser here. So look.
And the thing is, mate, it don't always work out because look at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? They walked their group, never lost a game, and they've got PSG Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what was the point in us winning that?
Yeah.
What was the point of us winning the group? We got PSG who beat, was it so-and-so 10-0 on aggregate in their knockout round and are absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah.
So look, the Champions League going on as long as it does, by the time you get to, the knockout rounds, that team who's 18th in the Champions League, could be on better form than Liverpool now, starting to maybe slip up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know who it's meant to benefit the viewer, I suppose. But if it's at the expense of the health of the players, then I'm not for it. I'm not for it. So something needs to change. Something needs to let off.
Yeah, you say Arsenal specifically, mate. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of things is like, especially like just sort of like, concentrating on their own team a minute. That turnaround, because it seems to take Arsenal players a lot longer to get back into their stride again after an injury, like especially this season. I don't know what it is about this season. Other clubs might be able to turn to other season, but we've just come back off the back of the Euros where a lot of our players are out there. Do you know what I mean? Like the Havertzes, the Rices, the Sakas, and whoever was the Salibas, and all this probably it must take a toll when it may not take a toll straight away, but if you look at someone like Odegaard and Rice, it certainly, Odegaard didn't thingy, did he? But Rice,
I don't think Odegaard's fully fit. I think he's doing what a captain does, and he's probably got still a little bit of pain in his ankle, still been sore since the day, and he's just sucking it up and
Declan Rice hasn't stopped for 2 years, has he?
For 2 years, mate. Declan Rice, and I did this the other day because I said people were like, oh, Declan Rice, because they were like, Declan Rice, get over it. West Ham don't like ya. It's like, calm down, mate. Yeah, he's over it because he wasn't bothered when he was smashing in a goal past West Ham and hitting 2 assists. And in the previous game, he had a great game against West Ham as well. So it didn't seem to affect him there. But funny enough, it's affected him because last season was the first full season he's had of Champions League football, the level of intensity that he's had to play for Arsenal as well, because we were going for the league. It's you're raising your levels. It's not a disrespect to West Ham to say when you're coming to an Arsenal team, you're raising your levels because you're
even when he was at West Ham, the back end of that, do you know what I mean? He took West Ham.
Yeah, he got to the final of a cup.
It was him who got them there to that final. He literally nearly single-handedly. He took West.
Yeah, and then the Euros, he had to play the Euros, got to a final there, and then comes back. This is the first season he's had a proper 2 years of intense football, zero breaks. It's not surprising that you're seeing a little bit of a let off. I think like next season you'll see full pre-season. You'll see a Declan Rice who is probably better than his first season.
Yeah, I'm just so glad we ain't in that Club World Cup thing. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that people say, "Oh, you know." I'm over the moon. We ain't in it. I don't want my players going out again. No, they need a rest. They need a break. Right. They need a proper pre-season. Go away with their families and a proper break.
Yeah,
you know,
they really do.
Proper
they
break.
Really do.
I think it's showing as well in games. It's showing as well in games. I think
it's
as well.
Catching up with them. It is massively catching up with them. On injuries, as I said, I did a video on Alexander Isak, essentially saying that Arsenal do need to get over it. I think Rory Talks Football initially said it, and I doubled down on that, obviously with a little bit more information on the side of transfer sides of things, and then went over the stories of the Arsenal's links to other players, including Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins. And someone pointed out the injury record of Alexander Isak, stating that Arsenal fans aren't looking at his injury record and they seem to be ignoring it. His concerns was the fact that we've already got a Jesus in the team. Why are you not looking at Isak's injury record? And I didn't really think too much of it at the time, because I think Garth mentioned it before about Isak's injuries, and we didn't really see too much of a pattern. But when I looked into it a little bit more, this is his injury record. You can see where the levels of intensity of football started to go up from where he was previously to Dortmund, and then you see again, it's not too bad when he's at Real Sociedad, but as soon as he hits the Premier League, 107 days out, 31 days out, 25 days out, 34. This is a month at a time. So he's out for 2 months here for a thigh problem. He's out for a month here in October the following year. In January in that same season, he's out for another month. In September this season, he's out for a month, and then he's a recent groin injury. If you notice, there's 3 groin injuries.
Yeah.
For me, that's a little bit of a concern. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy him based off of that, but when you're talking about having to pay the likes of 150 mil, which it seems like Alexander Isak's going to go for, would that be a bit of a concern for you, like those injuries mounting up?
Yeah, big concern, mate. Big concern. I mean, we can't pay that amount of money for a guy who's gonna miss a couple of months here and there, and you're going for titles and Champions Leagues. Arsenal have got to really look closely at players' injuries, and especially ones that who have who is quite plain to see struggles at times. And it might be a Premier League thing. It might be something that he goes down. And Arsenal can't afford to have someone go down with injuries again, especially not someone they're going to spend near on 120 million euro on. Sorry, 120 million pound. So usually playing doing euros. 120 million pound on. It would concern me, mate. It would concern me. And I think it would concern Mikel Arteta looking at that. I think if he's looking at that injury record and he's thinking, right, okay, look, we need a striker. We need someone who's going to take us to the hopefully next season picking it up. He will be concerned about paying that amount of money for someone who misses, even if it doesn't seem that much. I think if you're going for a title, I think that's a lot for someone to. I mean, if Salah was out for that amount of time, and if you put that in Salah's, and that was Liverpool, they probably wouldn't be where they are.
Yeah.
So, if you just take Salah out for a couple of months and miss, say, 8 games, 7-8 games, they may not have won the title this season. And I think, and Salah's part of their squad. Isak someone we've got to go and spend 120 million on? So it's a massive, for me, that's a massive risk. And hence why, we've spoken before about the Sesko Watkins thing. They're both players that just do not get injured, do they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Look, this was the contrast, because I thought he was talking about Benjamin Sesko, so I went and looked at Benjamin Sesko's injury record, and I was like, oh, this guy's wrong. Benjamin Sesko's had three injuries, torn muscle fiber, thigh problem and torn muscle fiber there, but that was 2 years ago. So
yeah. That seems like something that just hasn't healed properly, doesn't it?
Yeah, this seems like it was a initial problem when he joined RB Leipzig, and since then he's had no issues. So that's the kind of injury record that I'd be more than happy with.
Yeah. And RB Leipzig are a side, a very well run football club. RB Leipzig, you know, they treat their players well, they develop them well. They're known for that, you know, for looking after their young players and whatever. So it's no surprise that since he's gone to Leipzig, his injuries seem to have cleared up. It's not. So it's important the way you treat them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Go down. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Definitely. So for you, you'll be staying well away from the likes of Alexander Isak at that price tag.
Yeah. I mean, I've never, as I say, people I talk to, understanding I got of Arsenal with Isak is, you know, they like him. Do you know what I mean? He's someone that they admire. But yeah, I mean, not that we've spoken about injuries, but the price that just takes him out of the running for what Arsenal want to do in the summer. Do you know what I mean? He's not the only thing they want to do. If Arsenal was, you know, maybe if he didn't have many injuries and he was the only guy that they was thinking about bringing in the summer, then maybe they'd take a punt. But yeah, for me, I'd much rather Sesko. And even more so, I'd much rather, you know, the thought of having Sesko and Watkins, you know, for it's much more value of money. And yeah, and Watkins is another one who doesn't get injured that much, does he? Not from memory, anyway.
No, he doesn't. It seems like he just pulled that up there. Watkins had 2 injuries this season, last season, haven't kept him out for long at all. And that's pretty much it. Seems like a very, very solid player. We will be talking about transfers now. So if you are interested in transfers, if you've got any questions, get in the comment section, whether you're listening or watching on YouTube or whether you're watching on Twitter. Get your questions in. We're going to be discussing all the latest transfer news. I'm going to be starting off with the one we've just been talking about, Ollie Watkins, Steve. Just a little refresh on that. For anyone that hasn't heard or anyone that's a little bit confused as to why you've mentioned Sesko and Watkins. It seems like Arsenal are very much interested in bringing Watkins and Sesko in the summer transfer window as opposed to either or.
Yeah. Well, Arsenal, as it's been well documented, as we all know, you know, had made contact in January about signing Ollie Watkins. They had a verbal conversation where a fee of 40 million was spoken about, and but you know, it's just cut a long story short that, you know, Villa had just literally more or less done a deal selling Duran for, was it €80? Was it
80 million? Yeah,
80 million. So yeah, I mean, they're not going to sell obviously Watkins even if they wanted to. So it never really went any further than that. I've done an article since then that's where I'm been told that Arsenal will go back in for Watkins in the summer. That doesn't mean that Arsenal don't want Benjamin Sesko. Arsenal bid or put an offer in for Villa for 40 million for Watkins because that is all they could, you know, afford because of PSR, and that was all they had. All their budget for January and summer's done as one. You know, that's it's all sort of calculated together, and they went in for Watkins for 40 million. And from all my understanding is they're going to go back in for him, but it doesn't, you know, stop us wanting to go in for Benjamin Sesko, who's we found out that he's will have a release clause of around 8 million euro. So yeah, I mean that's not set in stone, but yeah, there's a little bit more about this coming out tomorrow. You know, which they'll be out in the morning about Sesko and Watkins and why what the whys and wherefores about, you know, why they offered the 40 million. But yeah, I mean, he's a player who Arteta likes. It's from information I've received, Watkins, you know, is expecting Arsenal to go back in to Villa in the summer, and Arteta wants to bring both players in as to strengthen the strike force. So Arsenal fans should be excited over that.
Yeah, they should be. Another former Arsenal player that looks like he could be going elsewhere after, well, looking like another relegation season is Aaron Ramsdale. Chelsea looking at Aaron Ramsdale, and a player who they looked at in the past. And it seems as though they are looking to replace Robert Sanchez in that goalkeeper department. And Aaron Ramsdale is one of the players they're looking at.
Yeah. Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, look, there's apparently there is a release clause that, you know, if he goes down to the Championship, he will be allowed to go. And one of the clubs that's interested in bringing him back into the Premier League is Chelsea. There was a lot of interest before he was signed for Southampton, but at the time, I think there was so many goalkeepers at Chelsea, and I don't think Chelsea was sure who their number one would be. But Ramsdale didn't want to have that situation. He had that at Arsenal. You know, he could have stayed at Arsenal and been a number two. He didn't want to go Chelsea and fight for his place. But since then, there's an offer on the table that's, you know, for Ramsdale to possibly go to Chelsea. So yeah, from my indications is that, you know, the goalkeepers there, forget the name, Sanchez and
Jorgensen or something like that.
Jorgensen are just not up to standard.
No, he's not.
And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So since then, we've had that confirmed as well by other journalists that come out after a story that Chelsea, you know, could offer Ramsdale, you know, a chance to play in the Premier League again. And yeah, and it's one I can see. I could see him at Chelsea. Funny enough, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, I wouldn't have no qualms about it either.
No, definitely not. Ramsdale was a solid professional, really great character for the team, and a good goalkeeper. He's a Premier League level goalkeeper. He's not Championship. He needs to be playing in the Prem.
Yeah.
And if he ends up going down with Chelsea, and they end up getting relegated, then so be it as well. I wouldn't be against that at all.
No. We've took enough Chelsea players, haven't we? We've taken enough of their players with the
time. More news on Severin Igham, a player that Arsenal admire, a youngster from Rosenborg who's been playing in the men's team since the age of 17. 60 league or 60 appearances for Rosenborg, and in the Europa Conference League, I think it's as well. Really, really big talent. Aston Villa agreed personal terms as well as Arsenal, but many other clubs all interested in this wonder kid.
Yeah, so many clubs want this guy, but only two have offered him a contract, and he's agreed personal terms, and obviously he's happy with a 5-year contract. He's going to get offered a 5-year contract wherever he speaks to. Do you know what I mean? That's set in stone for anybody. And personal terms is obviously wouldn't be a problem anyway.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock. It is. If you ever wanted an indication of what time it was while you were watching this show, you know that it's 9 o'clock when Steve's meter goes, whatever it is. But he's back. Don't worry, people. Have no fear. Steve is here. It's every night, Steve.
Yeah. No, but yeah, but from, as I say, for all my understanding from talking to people really close to what's going on with the deal, closer than what I'll ever be. You know, he wants to sign for Arsenal,
okay,
and they're his first choice. And Yeah, for quite a few different reasons. I mean, he's spoken to Marty Odegaard on a few occasions. He's impressed with Mikel Arteta, and he sees Arsenal as the best club to go forward with his development. Yeah, apparently this kid could be anything. From looking at him, speaking to people, he is elite, an elite youngster.
Yeah,
and there's some really well-known top journalists who I admire and trust greatly who have said that he has got the potential to be world class.
Oh God, yeah, that's good.
So he's got that about him. So yeah, central midfielder, someone who can play pretty much anywhere in that centre in the middle of the park. What Arteta's plans for him, I don't know what his plans will for him be, but yeah, he's special, and Arsenal are favourites to get him. So yeah, it'll be whatever fee it will be. It'll be a record fee for Rosenberg. So yeah, I'll be excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And apparently this geezer, they say about his development, but this apparently, people I talk to, they feel that he's ready.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's there's not. I spoke to like David Weatherston, someone who we had on the show as a Norwegian football expert.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he was like over there. They just absolutely love this kid. He's thinks Arsenal will be the perfect place for him.
Oh, good.
And yeah, just an exciting prospect, world prospect, European prospect, and yeah, be someone who Arsenal fans should be excited by.
And having the likes of Martin Odegaard would be a big bonus for a player like that. Well, not just for bedding in, but also for seeing how he's developed at Arsenal as well.
Oh yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. He's. I'm sure Martin Odegaard's someone who he's looked up to, who he's in his young age that he is. Someone probably Martin Odegaard who he may have even sort of look upon as a role model. Obviously coming from the same country, playing in more or less. Yeah, something that I could pretty much. It was advanced in the summer. David Ornstein came out and said that it was, the talks that were advanced then. So yeah, I mean, I think the other options are Villa, Liverpool like him, Man City like him, but if Man City bought him, that would mean he would have to go to Girona first, which I can't see that.
Yeah,
being something that would interest him.
Yeah.
If he's going to go to Girona, he might as well stay in Rosenberg. As far as I'm concerned, it's a silly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I think straight away, soon as it come out, I think I did an article saying that Man City just literally are not interested. He's not interested in going there because of that little triangle thing, of Rosenberg to Girona to Man City and all that. It's very complicated, and you have to spend probably a couple of seasons in Girona. Which is
and there's no guarantee that he's going to end up at Man City either.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I see that. A player we were speaking about earlier, Rasmus Højlund, looking like he's getting a bit of interest from Napoli, Steve.
Yeah, Napoli is a team that's been reported. People I've spoken to, in the industry have said that he's someone that Man United are willing to listen to offers for, which is not surprising. Is it? I mean, they would have to take quite a big loss. West Ham's another team that apparently are looking at him, which I could see him fitting in at West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Ferguson's gone there, and he don't seem to be playing or pulling up trees. Maybe Højlund could fit in there at West Ham. Man United have already sold Wan-Bissaka, to Man United, so maybe they've got a decent relationship between the two clubs. But yeah, I think Højlund needs to move for his own good. But yeah, he's a difficult one. Do you still think there's a player in Højlund? I think the only thing I have with Højlund is that I don't like to put him out to dry too soon because Man United are so bad.
Yeah, no,
Look,
look.
Do you know what I'm saying? But
is Højlund playing at his best ability? No, he's not. Would he be better at another club? Yes, he would. However, I don't think there's enough in his game to be
that's the
a welding. I don't think there's enough in his game for us to be like, no, this player needs to be given more of a chance. No, I just don't think. I don't think he's the right fit for Man United. I don't think he's the right fit for any of the top 4 clubs. I think they all need a little bit more. They all need a little bit more. And yeah, he's all right. He's all right. I'm not slamming him.
I can't even see him at a Tottenham or a Newcastle. I couldn't see him. Let's say top 4. Can't even see him in a top 6.
I see him at a club who would surprise you to get into Europe, and then because they've got him in there, and do you know what he reminds me of? Dirk Kuyt, someone who could run around all day, could put in a shift, but he's not tearing up.
I want to say, you know, let's wait and see once Amorim's got, you know, bought 5 or 6 players and then see what Højlund's like then. But even then, it's like what you said, there just don't seem to be enough in his game.
No, there's not.
Even if that happened, do you know?
Yeah. You stop saying he's a bad player.
Not at all.
I just don't think, like...
We're talking Man United here.
Yeah, if he was your second striker or a second option to come off the bench, then maybe. But then I even think about that and I think, Man United would bring off people on the bench like a Chicharito, who may not be a best in your team as a starter, but to come on and get a goal, perfect. I don't think Højlund even brings that, really. Like, I don't think he has that level of threat.
He's not as good as Danny Welbeck, is he?
No. Look,
Danny Welbeck wasn't really a starter for Manchester United.
Yeah, and what's his name? Ten Hag wanted Danny Welbeck back. He wanted Danny Welbeck, and Man United were like, no. But you look at Danny Welbeck, and you can see why. You can see why he wanted him. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, mate. Definitely. And it's horrible when you have to sort of like not put down, but when you just feel that, it's, as you say, we're not saying he's a bad player. We're just saying he's at the wrong club. Do you know what I mean? And he still needs, in my mind, he still needs to be developed.
Yeah.
And Man United are not the club where you should be developing players in a minute. They need someone.
Not this player. Not as the starter week in, week out. You're at Man United, your week in, week out main striker can't be a player you're developing.
No.
Although we have just contradicted ourselves and said that they need to be playing cheaper Obi Martins more, but that's different because their main option isn't the guy. I don't believe he's the guy.
That's why I've constantly said on this show that Højlund should be that guy sitting down on the bench, looking in at someone else.
That's actually been in the first place.
That's what it should have been. Not a £72 million signing.
Yeah,
I said that constantly on the show. There's no way. You only had to look at this guy to see that he was never ever a number 9. Bang on start.
72 mil is a lot of money. When you're paying 70 mil, you've got to buy. That's a player that's ready. That's not a developing player. That's a player that's ready here and now.
I mean, if they can get, transfers. Look, one thing I will say with transfers, players change their minds. Yeah, people, sit there at home at night and then will say one thing and then they'll phone up their agent and they'll change their mind. It happens all the time. You talk to the Ornsteins of this world, and the Fabrizios of this world, Duncan Castles of this world, my colleague at Football Transfers, they will tell you all the time. They sit there and they will change their mind in a heartbeat. And if this is And if like someone like Gorokis does that, which he could, then he's the type of guy that they should be looking at. He's your number 9 or something. You've got to and have a gamble on him because even though he's scoring all the goals he's scoring, he's still a gamble.
Yeah, of course it is.
Valovic as well is another one.
If you're Man United, where would you put your gamble? Would you put your gamble in a Goicoechea who's going to cost you 90 mil, or you going to put your gamble in a Valovic who's going to cost near enough half of that because they're trying to get rid of him?
Well, I think, I mean, from talking to people, from my understanding is that Gorica will be around about 58.
Okay,
like 58.
So it'd be reduced. Okay.
So there'd be so Gorica's and nobody in their right mind is going to pay 100 mil for someone who's gone from Coventry
in the Portuguese league.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? The only reason why they put these 100 million price tag on their Redskins is all that is to keep off now. Yeah. Keep away from that. Brentford did it with Ivan Toney, right? Didn't they? 6 months before it was like 100 million for Toney. That wasn't because he was ever going to be said. Toney and the Brentford chairman knew very well he wasn't going to be selling with 100 million. They knew very well. 6 months later, he's in Saudi for 30 million.
Yeah.
That's how it is. It's all this. So when you hear these figures bandied about,
it's to keep people away.
It's just a hands-off thing for now. You know the ones that they mean 100 million for. Do you know what I mean? We watch football enough. Like Declan Rice, we knew that was 100 million. But people like the Ossimans, that won't be. Do you know what I mean? These will all be round about this 50. They'll all be round about 50-50. But to answer your question, mate, I mean, ideally, if I'm Man United, I'm looking at someone Premier League. But it's not really anybody.
Yeah, who's available though? Who's available in the Premier League that you're looking at bringing in? Do you pull the carpet from under Arsenal's feet and go for Ollie Watkins if they're talking about 40 million?
Well, yeah, I mean that would be. If I'm Emery now, I'm looking at that. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have a punt to see what he says.
Yeah.
Okay, look, Watkins is an Arsenal fan. Okay, I've spoken
to. But would you like to lead the line for Man United week in, week out? You've not even got the competition of Sesko.
Yeah, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Watkins might say, like what we've said, and from our understanding, is that he just wants to end his career at Arsenal. He's spoken to Arsenal. That's why Arsenal gave the bid in January. So he's like, oh, look, I want to play for Arsenal. I want to end my days there.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play for him. It's my dream.
Yeah.
But you'd be an idiot if you didn't make the phone call. And,
of course.
And if I'm an Arsenal fan, obviously I don't want that phone call to happen. But if I'm looking at it from a transfer, from a business point of view, I'm getting Emery I'm making him getting on the phone now, mate. 100%. You go and do your bit. So he would be ideal.
You a 3-year deal. Say Arsenal offer you a 3-year deal. They say 150 grand a week. Yeah. Let's say Man United offer you a 4-year deal and they pay you 200 grand a week. That's enough to turn a player's head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've got an extra year's security and you've got an extra 50 grand a week.
Yeah. And he could be the guy. That
helps
turns Man United around. And and if Man United, well, look, if he turns out to be the guy that takes them from where they are to say Champions League football, he's not. I don't think he's the guy that will take you to like the challenge level. But I think what he is, he's similar to the Gabriel Jesus type of guy who can score more goals. So I think it'd probably be even a better signing than Arsenal when they got Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
So, but that same kind of, in the same sort of mould of the player who would take you to the next level, like Jesus did for that first season. And Watkins could be that guy. And look how Arsenal fans, lauded him. I mean, but then again, they can come down on you like a ton of bricks, like Arsenal fans do. But I think that would be I'll be like, if I'm Ineos, do you know what I mean? I'm Jason Wilcox, I'm Jim Ratcliffe, Owen Barada, Brave, what's his name? Oh, Brave, what's his name? The geezer? Oh, the bike guy. Gone out in my head. But I'm getting him to get on the phone, mate, and see if I can get Ollie Watkins for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, makes sense. It makes sense. It really does make sense. Another article which came out was it yesterday? Martinelli.
Today, weren't it?
Today's article. Martinelli. Make a firm decision on Martinelli's future amid the chase for Nico Williams. What's that one, Steve?
Yeah, no, reports earlier before the weekend from a journalist. I mean, I won't name him, but saying that Arsenal would have to sell Martinelli, to fund the Nico Williams thing.
Yeah.
Straight away, I knew that wasn't true, so I started to look into it and started asking questions. And from what come from the article, and as we sit now, Arsenal have got no intentions of selling Martinelli in the summer.
Is it more likely that Trossard's going to be the one that leaves the club?
Well, yeah. I mean, if someone needs to go, I mean, personally, I think Jesus will leave.
Okay.
They are in different positions, which is fair enough. Although Trossard is very versatile and can play in a number of different positions. So, and I think that's why just before Christmas, Arsenal offered Trossard a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Trossard was too pleased with. But when you get to 30 at Arsenal,
that's what you get.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
So I think it's in his hands.
He seems a bit of a better mood.
He seems in a better mood, but it's just what Arsenal do, with these 1-year contracts when they get to a certain age. It's what they do. They offer 9 times out of 10, they will offer, if you're in the Arsenal 23, you will be offered at that age a 1-year contract. Elneny did, Jorginho did, they all do. And then it's basically left up to the player what they want to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The manager doesn't really have a lot of say in this part of it. How long the contracts are. That's left to the sporting director, or at the moment the interim sporting director, which is Jason A2. But hopefully in the next few days, it looks like Arsenal could be appointing a new sporting director.
Yeah,
but yeah, look, it's pleased me. I'm glad, because I think it makes the more sense to keep Martinelli. From my understanding, I've been told that he's very happy at the club, which as Arsenal fans, we've known that. I think he'll play anywhere, Martinelli, for Arsenal, playing goal, left back, right back. He's just one of these players who just loves being at Arsenal. A bit similar to like a Smith Rowe in that respect. But my understanding is they've got no intentions of selling him. Do you know what I mean? Never say never in transfers, because someone comes in with a massive bid, then things may look differently. But at the end of the day, it's up to the player.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who's contracted. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you look at Arsenal, they're not a club that forces anybody out.
Yeah.
If someone wants to stay, they will say, great, you stay in. That's their contract, and we'll support your way through it. And we'll get you game time, and you're part of the family. It's the way Arsenal work. Some clubs do, some clubs don't work like that. Arsenal of the now work like that. Arsenal, when Arteta first came in, worked a bit differently. We had to be a bit more heavy-handed, but not the now. So yeah. And I think we need Martinelli. I think but again, people forget Martinelli. Again, we were used to seeing him on the left, but he's been very good on the right at times this season.
He's been showing a bit more versatility, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's a lot of people say they want to see him up front, play down the middle. He can do that. Versatility is a big thing in the mind of Mikel Arteta, and I think he's done well sometimes on the right. So big squad, international players who can play in different positions. Yeah, Martinelli, I can see someone who understand why, it'll be like a hands-off thing. But and Trossard will have Trossard, like Jorginho, like Party, will have decisions to make.
Yeah, no, we definitely will. And another bit you was alluding to before, Andrea Berta has emerged as a leading candidate to replace Edu as Arsenal's new director of football. Andrea Berta, the director of football at Atletico Madrid, who brought in the likes of Rodri and mine's gone blank. What's his name? Mine's gone blank.
Oh no, like Lamar, Felix. He made the deal for the 120 million for Felix. They done well there.
Oh, mate, look, why hasn't mine gone blank? Why hasn't mine gone blank?
Mate, don't feel bad. I couldn't say.
No, the more and more I think about it, the more and more it's gone. It's going to absolutely
after Rodri. I went. That was it. I knew Rodri. I've forgotten about the others. But he's made some big signings.
Antoine Griezmann. Oh my God, that was burning. Griezmann.
God, Griezmann was an absolute quality signing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
That was a quality signing.
So he's got a good pedigree. So what do you know on that deal then, Steve?
Not much, to be honest with you. To be fair, I know that he's top of the list. There's been talks going on over the last couple of days. The talks are quite advanced.
Yeah,
he's definitely looks like to be their number one target. You know, to be Mikel Arteta's sporting director. Mikel Arteta has had a big say in saying that he would like it to be Berta. So yeah, it does look like more than not that this guy will be the next guy to work with Mikel Arteta. So yeah, he's turned down Milan.
Okay.
You know, there was conversations going on between Milan and I think Arsenal really came in for him, and I think immediately he just stopped talks with Milan and carried on the talks with Arsenal. So there's a little bit of an indication there, I think, of that. It's more likely than not that this guy will be the next Arsenal sporting director in the next. Probably, I reckon it will be probably in the next. You know, could be by the end of the week. You know, he could be announced. This one.
All right, that's good. Good news for Arsenal. They need to tie that up. They do need one thing that Arsenal have done in the last few years is show some real organisation and structure within in and out of the club. And when you see little fractures like Edu start to leave, it does leave you a bit of a worry. So no matter whether we would have seen signs in the January transfer window anyway, either or, when you don't have a director of football there, it leads to questions being asked. So it'd be nice to get this deal done so we get back that structure that we had, which stood us in good stead.
Yeah, the Kimmich ones was a bit of a weird one that come out that he was interested in. The Arsenal were in advance quite.
Oh yeah, the Kimmich deal, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, my sources have sort of more or less sort of said that's not going to happen, you know, and that Arsenal are not going to buy Kimmich. You know, and I think today the person who sort of reported that sort of going a little bit back on himself. I think it sounded to me like the report that what he was saying was, look, Arsenal approached Kimmich in April, you know, last year, or was it May last year? You know, before at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And Bayern Munich said to him, we're not going to talk to you. We talked to you in the summer because it was in the middle of the season or just coming towards the end of the season. Arsenal never sort of called their interest and never actually went on and never went on. So it sounded like to me when I see the report come out the other day, it was like a mirrored image of what happened last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it at all because Kimmich is the reason why he's umming and ahhing about Bayern at the moment is because it's because they won't pay him €20 million a year.
But this always happens. Like it happens with David Alaba. It happened with Lewandowski.
Arsenal are not paying a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
20 million a year when they're just about to, break a release clause and in an advanced talk with Martin Zubimendi, who plays in the same position. I don't know where and it was like, and it just didn't add up one iota. So it just sounded to me someone was regurgitating a story from May.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
That's what it really looked like, which was actually my exclusive from May. And that's why I was like,
giving you a little bit of extra work there, though, Steve, shutting down your old story.
Well, I had to, and I had to write, and I did another article off the back of it because I had to sort of.
Thank you very much, whoever that was.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, you know who you were.
Well, that is all we have time for. Thank you for everyone who's joined us in the comment section as well. And if you join us on Twitter, thank you very much. Appreciate that. If you're watching on Twitter, press that like button. It makes a big difference. It really does. It gets more people watching. It sends us out to other people. And as we know, we know you're watching out there. We know you're watching. Here, come here. We know you're watching because this news that is in this transfer segment always ends up in the BBC, in Spanish papers, in loads of places. Yeah, we know you're watching. So just press that subscribe button to help this continue to go. Otherwise, one day it may disappear. All right, that's what you show. Show your support. All right.
Yeah, I'll have to start charging. I have to start charging these people.
Don't make us put this behind a paywall. Yeah, it's free. But all we ask you to do is press that retweet, press that like button, and if you're watching on YouTube, press that subscribe. Because if we have to put this behind a paywall, it's no fun for anyone, is it? All right, just for the sake of what? You pressing the subscribe button and you letting us know that you actually like us. Come on, we've been doing this for 3 years now, and it's been free the whole time. And you're getting the latest transfer.
Is it free? It's
from Steve K. All right.
Yeah.
So please show your support. All right. If you are on TikTok, make sure you go and follow Kieran AFC or the Transfer Exchange Show. Go and follow us on that. Go and follow Steve on Twitter, where you can ask him any questions and you can get his articles straight off the press. All right, straight off the press. As he said, go and follow him now. Go and follow the Transfer Exchange Show because he said there's going to be a new story out in the morning. So go and follow it and go and check it out. All right. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Pleasure, mate. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.